everybody out there in YouTube. We are the Middle-Aged Guys, and we're going to be bullshitting about Nintendo again. Yeah, I know, kind of sound like breaking records. But guess what? They're actually doing a lot of things in the news where, yeah, other systems are, either canceling games or just they continue putting out games or some things like that. Without further ado, I am the Reverend.
The theme here.
Gray Mouse 1.
The first story that we got about Nintendo actually broke earlier this month around the 8th, and that was Nintendo of America successfully won a lawsuit that they had versus Jeremy Douglas King and Go Cyber Shopping in Canada. And basically what it was is that the federal court awarded Nintendo originally, the amount was $9.5 million against Go Cyber Shopping for them selling out, let's see here, Mod Chips. It's basically a Canadian online store that was really popular for selling Mod Chips, flash carts, and other things, all right? And according to them, let's see here, this decision right here is in respect to copyright infringement and the circumvention of technological protection measures, or TPMs, and this decision is first to consider of the Copyright Act merits. Okay, basically, generally speaking, what's up is that here's the thing: Mod Chips, flash carts, and other flash media that you have out there, by and large, isn't illegal by itself to go ahead and sell. However, if you go ahead and you've got these sellers and everything else actually providing some sort of software or providing access to ROMs or anything else like that, that will get you in trouble really, really quick. Because one thing a lot of the publishers out there, whether or not they be first-party publishers or third-party publishers, one thing that they do not want anybody to know is that, guess what? If you physically own a copy of a game, that it is completely legal for you to back that up, okay? To have backup copies of that game. Now, this particular one was kind of interesting because they didn't go directly just on that, but the one thing that they were trying to hit on is that they were saying that Go Cyber was advertising and offering sale of different models of game copiers and like flash carts and other things. And it was really hammering in saying, hey, look, not only are these guys going ahead and selling this stuff, but they're directly attacking our copyright protection, circumventing technical protection measures, right, TPMs. And with that, that's really kind of what the court went ahead and fell in for. And in fact, like I said, initially it was just the judgment was for $9.5 million. It actually got increased just this last week on the 13th to $12.75 million. Yeah, and the thing is that I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not adverse to using those types of devices. So on that end, I know. Some of us all here also aren't adverse so much to using those types of devices. I want to go ahead and hear your guys' thoughts on this. So, floor is open. Theme, Gray Mouse, what are your thoughts?
Man, oh man. Well, at least some of that money is going to cover for the loss of the Wii U.
Not even a drop.
Yeah.
They lost so much. They're so much in the red with the Wii U. It ain't funny.
No,
I don't think they're going to care about that. No. Yeah.
Well, I think they just made up for it with the Switch.
Well,
with this and the Switch equals Nintendo's back. Nintendo is back. No. But back on subject here. A lot of people got to understand that, yeah, the selling of flash carts and stuff like that, that's fine. But you can't have... Look, you just can't have the games, the ROMs, whatever, programs, or even the emulators. That's so... just... no. Look, all three of us are big fans of physical stuff anyway.
Yeah. Yeah.
We got a whole bunch of physical shit that we still use.
Yeah.
It's not like Nintendo just went out of their way. It's just started looking. Look, people advertise this shit all the time, which is their big fucking mistake. I mean, I'm just gonna start rambling here, and I really don't want to do that.
Deem, I'll save you. I'll save you here, or attempt to. Yeah, I mean, it's fine to sell flashcards or whatever it is. But when you start selling ROMs, that's where it starts to get sticky. You like wear it out on your sleeve. So much to that part of the lawsuit, part of the whole the ruling, the judge actually required Jeremy King to publish a letter of apology on his website. And he had to apologize directly to Nintendo and the developers that create the games for Nintendo 3DS. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to be around much longer, or his company be around much longer. I think that was the nail. And the thing is, though, what really gets me is that it was like catch me if you can type of attitude towards him. It was like, I mean, he was not hiding what he was doing. He wore it out there on his sleeve, saying, you know what I mean? I mean, blatantly going against the copyrights. I mean, he, just like the Reverend was saying, he almost to a point where he was attacking the copyrights of Nintendo. And you just don't do that.
I think it definitely didn't help that, like I said, he not only did flashcards, but also mod chips, and he provided installation services. And the way that he tried to defend it, that portion of himself under the lawsuit, was he wanted to say that it was all under an interoperability clause where he would be providing services to allow these games or these systems, these modded systems, to go ahead and run homebrew games. But on his own website, he had noted that he didn't supply any sort of homebrew games, or he didn't give access to any homebrew games. So it was just one of those things where it was kind of like a catch-22. Now, the one thing where I think this is really kind of sticky for us is that when you have this particular lawsuit happen and Nintendo wins out on it, and then you also see that Nintendo, along with all of the other first-party publishers, Sony, Microsoft, and the other ones, are joining up with Apple, saying that they want to go ahead and fight these right-to-repair bills. It really does take into consideration, it really makes you consider, okay, when you purchase this particular device and you've paid sales tax, you have a legal receipt and everything, do you actually own it? Because the way that the first-party publishers and all the manufacturers want it to be is that they wanted to say, no, that receipt is only your license. That shows that you paid for a license to use it. Okay,
at least.
And where they really don't want you owning anything, which that right there worries me.
So what you mentioned earlier, Reverend, is that it is in my right as a consumer to back up files.
Yes.
Whether that file be a ROM to a popular game.
As long as you own it physically. If you own it physically already, then yes, you can back that up.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. If you have any sort of physical media, you can make a backup of it. Okay, whether or not it's something like, I don't know, art books, and you want to sit there and scan them for your own archives or something like that. That's the thing. A lot of publishers, and it's not just game publishers. It's also music, movies, a lot of these other entertainment media publishers and everything else out there that it is legal for you to back up your own physical copies. Okay, and that's one thing that none of them are going to say even fucking exists, but that is well within your rights.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. So we have to keep in mind that if we delve into these sort of things, that yes, there are there are legalities behind not just purchasing the items, but also the way that you use them. Not saying that not saying that it's never going to be the case that you just happen to be sailing through that area of pirates and peg legs and stuff like that. But not saying that I go ahead and encourage any of that stuff. But a lot of these devices are used for that. I understand that. Okay. Is Nintendo well within their rights to go ahead and sue these guys? Yes, they are. But I also know that the way that they're angling this thing is that when they start using the specifics of the way that the copyright law is written and everything else, they're going to be able to extend this out to other issues and other areas out there. I mean, it's almost the same reason why they can sit there and they can say, okay, well, if we don't want to go ahead and attach digital purchases to an account, we just want to go ahead and mirror it off to your system, then being able to sit there and back that up onto like another SD card or another hard drive or something like that, that's one of the things that they can sit there and say, no, that we don't offer that because guess what, that we want to go ahead and protect our digital media. They
will try to say, oh wait, you're trying to own it 2 times fold. Yeah.
Or you're going to try to sit there and make it available for other people to go ahead and use the other copies. And
now you're going to distribute it.
Yeah.
Now you have 2. No.
Yep. Yeah, it's one of the things that we have to look at and stay wary of. Okay. Not that all the stuff with Nintendo was, as far as Nintendo goes, not that they're completely going to say no, we don't want you to have physical copies. In fact, as you've seen with the Switch, Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild is the highest attach rate ever for a launch game and everything else for the console. One of the things that a lot of people are looking at, amongst all of the other launch titles that are out there, some folks started noticing, they're like, hey, wait a minute here. Why is it that this particular indie game that's seeing a physical release costs more on the Switch than it does on other consoles? And the one that they're talking about is Rime, okay? Rime is out on PC, and I think it's out on both on PSN and Xbox Live. That is available on other consoles for $29.99. Currently, right now, if you get the physical copy of it, though, it goes for $39.99. All right, which has been bringing a lot of concern for a lot of people going ahead. And they've been saying, "Hey, look, some of these indie game titles cost more if you get them on the Switch than anywhere else." This right here is actually pretty interesting. What are you guys' thoughts on it?
Oh, well, new console, new platform. Oh, yeah, they want your money. Were these games already out before the Switch came out?
I believe so.
So you're telling me that these games are old, technically. Yeah. And yet you have this system that launched, and you're going to sell these games for a higher price.
Yeah. Or, well, Rime is set to hit Steam like in May.
Yeah. But my point is, it's already out. All right. Yeah. Is there any significant change in the fucking game?
I mean, no. The only significant change is actually the cartridge, it being on physical cartridge.
But wait, my point is this. There's no way that I would pay extra, specifically extra, just because of a console that the certain game is on. Especially if the game was already out.
Okay.
Yeah.
No. I'm not hearing that.
For this, actually, Rime was actually a PlayStation 4 exclusive. And then developers at Tequila Works decided to pull the rights away from Sony and put it on a multi-plat.
Yeah.
And then he said that we set the prices for our products based on the cost of the development and publishing for each specific platform. And they're saying what the problem is, it's pretty much the same thing that happened on the Super Nintendo when you actually bought your specialized games that require specialized chips. They're more cost than what your other games was. And that's what they're saying. It's there's more cost involved.
Yeah, but for most of those games, they weren't already out on something else.
Well, it's not fully out on something else yet. Like the Reverend was saying earlier, is that it hasn't been released on all platforms as of yet.
Yeah.
They're saying, the developer's saying that it costs more to put it on the cartridge, on the Switch, because of the cartridge.
Yeah. Here's the silly thing about that, okay? Is that the digital version of Rime, which is also going to be available on the eShop, is set for $39.99 also. So it's silly.
Yeah, that's completely silly.
Yeah, it's silly.
I said I'm going to call a spade a spade. I'm not going to defend that shit.
Yeah, and I guess another one that suffers from, that has the same thing going on is that Puyo Puyo Tetris. Yeah, is set to be like I think $24.99 on PS4 when it comes out for the Nintendo Switch. It's going to be $34.99. Now, I think this is one of those things where it has to be addressed that, there's going to be a cost with the physical cartridges. And it's going to be a bit higher to go ahead and manufacture the physical cartridges.
It's funny how that will apply for everything except for Nintendo themselves.
Hang on, I'm not trying to defend Nintendo for this, but let me say this. There was a Facebook, during a Facebook stream where Reggie actually went out, and I quote from him, "We don't make the pricing decision. When you see those differences in prices, call up that third-party publisher and ask them." That's exactly, I'm reading a quote that he said, and it said, "Rime is the first third-party game whose makers are charging more money on the Switch." And this is not, he said, they're saying, is this an anomaly? Meaning that is this just just one game? And then they're saying,
it's funny.
Quote unquote Nintendo tax on other indie games moving forward.
I think it's hilarious because that didn't even happen for Breath of the fucking Wild. That game is
Breath of the Wild is a first party game.
But that's my point. As far as development, it costs exact same thing on the fucking Wii U.
Well, that's the whole point that he's making, is that Reggie is saying that Nintendo's not setting these third-party prices.
But that's my point.
That's the developers. But people are blaming
the developer on the Switch because it's cartridge. And I'm like, wait a second here. You just had this great Zelda game on the Wii U and on the fucking Switch.
Well people are blaming Nintendo. They're pointing their finger at the wrong people.
No, I think they're pointing at the right people, really. Okay, because there's a few things that are going on here, because the thing is that they're not pointing it at Nintendo without reason and without history to back it up. Mm-hmm. Okay, because the thing about the cartridges and stuff like that is that
look at the 64.
Not only that, but from the NES all the way up. Okay, third-party publishers have had to worry about product and licensing costs that Nintendo does not have to concern themselves with. Okay, at all. There was a reason why when Earthworm Jim was released out for the Super Nintendo, it cost $69.99, and Donkey Kong Country, when it came out, it was only $59.99, and a lot of third-party publishers were pissed off because they're like, look, all of our fucking games are going to be $10 more. Mm-hmm. All right, over the first party Nintendo games, because we have to worry about paying licensing fees, and they have to purchase the cartridges and the chips and the parts from Nintendo anyways.
Well,
all right.
I agree with you at this point, but I think that I'm not saying Nintendo's in the clear at all. But what I'm saying is that I feel that Nintendo, honestly, this time for this particular game, for this particular case, has nothing to do with the cost of it being $10 more on their system.
Let me continue on my second point. Okay, I will say that particular cost in licensing, it exists. It's always existed. All right, whenever you deal with proprietary format, it always fucking exists. All right. The thing that gets me though is that not going by what Reggie says. Okay. It is true that the individual publishers are readily available to go out of their way to set whatever the MSRP is going to be. Okay.
They want to. That's the yeah.
No, just let me finish my point. Okay. If people want to go ahead and want to see proof, all right, why the fuck is Super Bomberman R only $49.99 and 1-2 Switch is $59.99?
One is a first party and the other is a third party.
Well, yeah, but if the third party, no, let me finish my point. Let me finish my point. If the third party rule applies the whole time, then guess what? Super Bomberman R, which should have cost $59.99 or above, it should have cost $69, but it's actually $49.99, $10 cheaper than the first party Nintendo games that are out on physical copy right now. Okay, so there's truth to what Reggie is saying. All right, that's what I'm saying right now. All right, I think what probably happens as far as it goes is that there's, I think this sort of issue is probably going to be very, very prevalent for indie games that initially sign on and do their initial development and release for the Switch. Okay, especially if they do go ahead and they do the physical copy thing. Because, however, I don't expect the majority of the indie developers to go out of their way to plan to make a physical copy because of this fucking reason. They're going to stick to digital download only. So with that in mind, yeah, there's a little bit that's going on. You know, what Reggie says is true, but the speculation that a lot of people have about the cartridges costing more and that there being production and licensing fees that third-party publishers have to worry about, that Nintendo doesn't have to worry about, that also rings true in this sense too. So that's really what I want to go ahead and point out on that.
I don't think it's going to have any impact at all. I think there's indie developers are going to still want to create physical copies. Whether they pass the cost on to us is going to be something that we're going to have to see, or wait and see rather. But it is a discouraging fact. I mean, I'll admit that this could be a turning point, at least on the Switch, for the indie developers not to get physical copies or not to produce retail copies of their games. I mean, I can't do that. I can't allow myself to not think that that's not going to happen. I got to be a realist here. But I also want to stay optimistic that the third-party developers, indie developers specifically, would, you know, still want to put their games out on retail. I mean, there's people like us that want retail, that still like to have that physical copy of a game.
Yeah, but if I'm just a garage door development company that's publishing independently and everything else, and it's going to cost me 200 times more fucking capital to go ahead and put out a physical copy, then guess what? I'm just gonna publish digitally. That's just how it is. Okay.
And let me just say this: if there's going to be an overwhelmingly, you know, look, you can't have a lot of freaking digital games on the Switch because of its memory capacity right now.
But that could be fixed. I mean, all you got to do is buy an SD.
But will that happen?
I'm pretty sure that, you could go out and buy a bigger memory card. I mean, that's no big deal. In this case, that's no big deal. It's just that you got to go out of your way and buy a bigger memory card for 32 gigs.
What if it gets to the point where over half of the fucking library is digital only?
Well, I mean, that could be said with the PlayStation 4 or the Xbox One. I mean, you can't just point at Nintendo for that. And that was an interesting crossover. I mean,
no, I said digital only.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So the question I got is this: are we going to see this? Let's cross-examine here. On the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, are indie games more expensive?
No. The whole thing that's bringing up this subject is bringing up this subject at all is the fact that the indie games, they're showing up on the Nintendo Switch $10 more.
Yeah.
Regardless of whether or not it's a physical copy or digital copy.
Right.
For not just one title, but at least a handful of titles.
Because what the Reverend said earlier, because they were trying to make excuses about, the development and the physical costs and stuff like that. But wait a minute, to download it digitally, it's the same fucking price.
Yeah.
So
it should be. Yeah, it should be because you're cutting out the retail side of the thing.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those things where I think. I think people. I want to say that with a lot of folks who are sitting there saying, "Hey, Nintendo, this looks way too fucking familiar," especially for folks who've known their history and seen like what has happened with third-party developers and publishers with them before. As somebody who's actually seen that firsthand, that's one argument that I cannot go ahead and dismiss. I have seen it happen before.
But the thing is, though, are people willing to pay the Nintendo tax?
Hell yeah.
Well, it all depends on the game. It all depends on the game.
They will still pay.
Here's the thing. Look, regardless of what comes out for what system, depending on what it is, people will go ahead and pay $60, $70, $80, $150 fucking dollars even for DLC packs and stuff like that. My point is, in anything like that, depending on the game, look, if you suck dick once, you'll suck dick again because you already acquired the taste of it and everybody knows that you will suck a fucking dick. So the only way to stop all of that is to see through all that garbage and just put your foot down and be like, hell no, I'm not doing that, regardless of what it is.
Yeah, I mean, generally speaking, for a lot of the folks that have huge issues with this, I will say this right now: then just don't buy it. Literally, don't buy it.
Yeah.
If you want to see Nintendo change their mind, or
not just
Nintendo, but the independent publishers, go ahead and change their mind on some of the pricing on these things, then just don't buy it. Okay, prices will drop really fucking quick.
Please.
All right, but that also applies to every fucking manufacturer and publisher out there. There's something that you don't like, you want to make your point really, really well, don't fucking buy it. Okay. And I think that's really the only thing I say about that.
For example, guys, would you pay $400 for a Switch right now?
No.
Because there are certain places that are selling it for that much. Because, of course, they're difficult to find, and certain places have jacked up the prices. And guess what? People are still either buying them or consider buying them. So my point is, look, if you're that desperate to get on your knees and the suck a dick of a company, then again, you'll keep fucking doing it because they will grow accustomed for you going down on them. So all you have to do, just like the Reverend said, don't fucking buy it. I mean, just no. Look, games are already fucking $60 already, and most of those games are not even fucking complete. You got season passes and DLC that adds up the game to be maybe $100 to $150.
If you're lucky.
Season passes every year and all that garbage.
If you're lucky, you won't break over 100 on a game, even after all the DLC and everything else. No. But yeah, this one right here is definitely one that I hate to think about it saying, with considering that maybe it's going to sit there and halt some of the momentum that the Switch has.
This
All
is
right.
the future.
Well, no, the future is that nobody owns anything. There's no physical fucking media, and that you're just paying subscription fees to stream shit. All right, on a constant basis.
Super Mario D, Super Mario Digital.
Mm. And then whenever you want to go ahead and actually hit a power-up block, it'll ask for, your account password so that it can hit you up for a 99-cent microtransaction and some sort of bullshit like that.
Look what you're gonna look again. The next Zelda is gonna have a microtransaction and get the Master Sword. And guess what? People would still buy it. People would still buy it. People would be like, well, okay, it's not that bad. It's just going for they'll make excuses for something like that to be done.
Yeah, this particular one is just something else. Like I said, if I would hold Reggie's words and everything else, I would hold it up like gospel. Okay, I would fully believe it if I haven't actually experienced firsthand, the fact that physical with the proprietary format and everything else, physical copies with third party. Yeah, I've seen it happen before where it actually makes a difference in price.
Well, again, look at the Nintendo 64. If you don't have to even go any further than the 64. I mean, yes, the Super Nintendo did it too, but damn, third-party developers weren't going to develop for the Nintendo 64 for this reason.
Yep.
So the Switch can't go that fucking route. Not in this early stage. They just can't. Because if it gets to the point where Switch games are going to be like $79.99, the controllers are already expensive. If it gets to the point where every Switch game is $10 or $20 more than they are for the Xbox One or the fucking PS4, that's not going to work. It's just, regardless, if third party is back on Nintendo, it still wouldn't fucking matter at that point. I mean, just
no. It's an obstacle that
once again,
I think
you'll be buying a Nintendo just for Nintendo products. Well, we just did that with the Wii U.
Yeah, I think it's an obstacle that Nintendo has to sit there and deal with, and that by and large, a lot of the Nintendo consumers and diehard are going to have to figure out whether or not it's worth it to go ahead and pursue grabbing third-party games on the Switch if it's going to go ahead and cost more. I don't want to think about that happening on a regular basis, but it's something that we have to consider, especially considering we're dealing with a proprietary format again. Really, what we would like to know is we would like to know anybody who's watching this. What are your thoughts on this? Is this deja vu all over again, or is this something where it's like maybe the developers, the indie developers, and the indie publishers, maybe they're just shooting for things that are a little bit over their head, jumping on the Switch, developing at this moment in time. What are your thoughts on that? What are your thoughts on that, and also the lawsuit that Nintendo won just recently against Ghost Cyber Shopping in Canada? Like I said, used to be $9.5 million, went all the way up to $12.76 million as far as the settlement goes, and the type of things that are going on with that particular lawsuit, and especially considering the climate of how a lot of first-party video game publishers don't like this whole right to repair, and they're really making a case that you don't actually own your shit. It's something that we got to sit there and think about. We really like to hear about that. So while you're at it, leave us a comment below. Hit like, hit subscribe. We'd definitely enjoy seeing your comments. All our bullshit on Nintendo, the news that we've got so far, is going to end right here. I'm the Reverend.
The theme here.
Gray Mouse 1.
Once again, for the benefits of common sense, logic, and not... Don't go down this road, please. Nintendo Switch, no matter who's fucking doing it. Third party, first party. No, please don't fucking do it. You just had a great fucking launch. You're going to have follow up and have a great fucking year if you have the fucking games and you could make more switches to go out. So please don't X this shit out as soon as fucking humanly possible. Credits.